Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Roman Reigns could lose the biggest match of his life because of a 10-time world champion. On January 6 TH's edition of Raw on Netflix, the OTC will face Solo Sikoa in tribal combat, the winner becoming the ultimate tribal chief of the bloodline. Both superstars will leave their respective stables in the back and fight one-on-one. However, Roman Reigns could still lose due to the numbers advantage. That numerical advantage for Solo Sikoa would be in the form of The Rock. The People's Champion hasn't appeared on WWE TV since Bad Blood in September. The January 6th edition of Raw is a big show that could interest him to make an appearance, especially when his family's future is on the line. There is a reason why The Rock could help Sikoa attack Reigns. The first reason is that the OTC teamed up with a man who took everything away from the Samoan family, Cody Rhodes, to fight his own family. Before leaving for his WWE exile in April, The Rock had promised Rhodes he would return and that their story wasn't over. Seeing the OTC and the undisputed WWE champion shoulder to shoulder might have pissed off the final boss, and the latter will be out for blood. There is one more major reason why The Rock would want to end Roman Reigns. While many fans feel the moment at Bad Blood is the reason for The Rock being angry at Reigns, there could be another hidden reason too. Leading up to WrestleMania 40, The Rock returned to challenge Roman Reigns. Unfortunately, the crowd wanted Cody Rhodes, and they got it. The Rock, instead of getting sour, stood by Cuz until the end. However, there is one incident that could have angered the final boss. On an edition of SmackDown, Rock was cutting a classic Hollywood rock-style promo to hype up WrestleMania 40. At the end of the promo, Roman Reigns asked The Rock to acknowledge him as his tribal chief in front of the whole world. The final boss looked a bit surprised, but eventually acknowledged Roman. The Rock is one of the biggest superstars in the world across industries. Reigns forcing Rock to acknowledge him could have been the point where the latter started to plan the OTC's downfall. If the final boss clears his schedule, the fans could see the dream match that many have been praying for. If it does happen, this match would be over 3 years in the making. The night was electric as WWE fans packed into the sold-out arena for the highly anticipated tribal combat between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. The tension was palpable, and the air crackled with the kind of energy that only monumental wrestling events could muster. This was not just about championship gold or family pride. It was about who would carry the weight of the Anoa'i dynasty into the future. Roman Reigns entered first, his stoic demeanor and calculated steps portraying the confidence of a man who had held the mantle of tribal chief for nearly 3 years. Clad in his trademark black and red gear, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion carried himself like a king defending his throne. Behind him was Paul Heyman, visibly nervous, clutching the title belts like holy relics. Solo Sikoa was next. The Samoan enforcer, often seen as Roman's silent protector, now had the chance to dethrone his cousin. He entered to his signature theme, barefoot and with fire in his eyes. Unlike Reigns, Solo did not have Heyman or anyone else by his side. He didn't need them. He was here to fight, not negotiate. The match begins. The opening minutes were as intense as expected. Solo wasted no time, launching an offensive barrage that took even Roman by surprise. Kicks, punches, and devastating Samoan drops were unleashed with precision and fury. Roman tried to mount a counterattack, but Solo's sheer power and determination gave him the early upper hand. Roman, however, wasn't called the tribal chief for nothing. With a calculated spear out of nowhere, he leveled the playing field. As the match wore on, it became a brutal chess game, with both men trading finishers and near falls. The crowd was in a frenzy, torn between allegiance to the tribal chief and respect for Solo's rise. Unexpected interference. Just as Roman seemed to regain control, hitting Solo with a Superman punch that left him sprawled on the mat, the arena lights dimmed. A loud, familiar guitar riff echoed through the stadium. The crowd erupted as the Viper Randy Orton appeared on the stage. A 10-time world champion and one of the most decorated WWE superstars of all time, Orton hadn't been seen in months due to a rumored injury. Now he was back, and his presence could only mean one thing: chaos. Paul Heyman's face turned pale as he frantically waved for security. Roman, distracted, yelled at Orton to stay out of his business. Orton merely smirked and made his way down the ramp, his eyes locked on Reigns. Solo, seizing the moment, delivered a thunderous Samoan spike to Roman's throat. The crowd gasped as Reigns fell to his knees, gasping for air. Orton, meanwhile, stood at ringside, seemingly content to watch the chaos unfold. Orton's motivations. Speculation ran wild among commentators. Why was Orton here? Was he targeting Roman or Solo? Some speculated it was payback for Roman's dominance over Raw and SmackDown during Orton's absence. Others believed Orton was here to scout his next victim. What became clear was that Orton's presence had shifted the dynamic. Roman, rattled by the unexpected interference, was no longer the composed tribal chief. His frustration boiled over, and he directed his anger at Orton, yelling insults and daring him to step into the ring. Orton finally obliged, climbing onto the apron. The referee, knowing this was a tribal combat match with no rules, had no authority to stop him. As Roman approached, Orton hit a picture-perfect RKO out of nowhere. The crowd exploded as Reigns crashed to the mat. Solo's moment. With Roman down and Orton standing over him, the crowd's attention turned to Solo. The enforcer had the opportunity of a lifetime. He glanced at Orton, who nodded slightly before exiting the ring, his mission apparently complete. Solo ascended the turnbuckle and launched into a breathtaking Samoan splash, landing squarely on Roman's chest. The referee dropped to the mat to count. 1, 2, 3. The unthinkable had happened. Solo Sikoa had defeated Roman Reigns to become the new tribal chief. The aftermath. The arena was a mix of shock and jubilation. Solo stood over Roman, the tribal lei placed around his neck by the referee as a symbolic passing of the torch. Paul Heyman looked on in stunned silence, his allegiance now uncertain. Orton, smirking, retreated up the ramp, leaving chaos in his wake. His motivations were still unclear, but one thing was certain. Randy Orton had forever altered the course of the Anoa'i dynasty. Roman, meanwhile, lay motionless in the ring. The once invincible tribal chief had been dethroned, not by Solo alone, but by the ripple effect of Orton's interference. A new era. Backstage, the fallout was immediate. Solo, now the tribal chief, was swarmed by reporters and family members offering their mixed reactions. Some supported him, seeing this as a natural progression for the bloodline. Others were hesitant, questioning whether he could lead with the same dominance as Roman. Roman, for his part, refused to speak to anyone. He left the arena without Heyman, his titles, or his aura of invincibility. The bloodline was in shambles, and the WWE Universe couldn't stop speculating about what would come next. Would Roman seek revenge on Orton? Was Orton angling for a future title shot? And what role would Paul Heyman play in this fractured family saga? The bigger picture. Randy Orton's interference wasn't just about the tribal combat. It was a reminder of his own legacy. As a 10-time world champion, Orton had nothing left to prove, but everything to gain by inserting himself into one of WWE's most compelling storylines. His return added a new layer of unpredictability to the already volatile bloodline saga. For Solo, this was the beginning of a new chapter. The silent enforcer was now the leader of the table, with the weight of his family's legacy on his shoulders. His victory had been tainted by Orton's involvement, but the win was undeniable. And for Roman Reigns, the loss marked the end of an era. The tribal chief had ruled with an iron fist, but his reign was now over. Whether he would return as a humbled warrior or a vengeful tyrant remained to be seen. Conclusion. The tribal combat between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa was more than just a match. It was a turning point in WWE history. The shocking involvement of Randy Orton not only cost Roman his position as tribal chief, but also set the stage for new rivalries and alliances. As the dust settled, one thing was clear. WWE's landscape had changed forever. Solo Sikoa was the new face of the bloodline. Randy Orton was back to his old, unpredictable self, and Roman Reigns was left to pick up the pieces of a shattered empire. The WWE Universe could only watch and wait to see what twists and turns the future would bring.